Food processing facility sanitation is an integral part of good manufacturing practices. Effective sanitation aids in ensuring the wholesomeness, safety, and quality of shell eggs. The negative impacts on food safety and egg quality are a result of microbial growth. Research has shown that ineffective cleaning and sanitation practices or programs can lead to reduced quality duration or potential product contamination. Residual microorganisms can lead to egg spoilage or foodborne illness. Most of this training series will focus on the United States Department of Agriculture Agricultural Marketing Service Pre-Operational Sanitation Inspection Expectations. However, remember that the Food and Drug Administration has oversight of consumer shell eggs in the United States as stated in 21 CFR 117. Additionally, customers, accrediting organizations such as Safe Quality Food, British Retail Consortium Global Standard, and others, as well as state and local regulatory agencies, may have additional facility sanitation expectations that can impact your facility. AMS sanitation requirements are meant to protect the integrity of the USDA grade mark by requiring additional sanitation expectations at facilities that utilize AMS voluntary grading services. To meet these goals, AMS inspectors will assess for voluntary grading program requirements during the pre-operational sanitation inspection and throughout processing operations by utilizing organoleptic inspection assessments. While AMS may review microbial test results as part of certain export programs, AMS does not conduct nor require swabbing or biological testing during routine sanitation assessments. So what is organoleptic inspection? Organoleptic inspection assessments include sight, smell, and touch. However, microbial growth will not always be seen, smelled, or felt.
Critical areas are defined as equipment with potential surface contact with eggs or come in contact with wash water or air blown to dry the eggs. Non-critical areas are defined as areas that are not likely to imminently affect product quality. Non-critical does not mean it is not important. Non-critical, unsatisfactory conditions should be addressed after the processing line has been started, unless unable to safely do so during processing. In this module, the critical and non-critical areas of the washer will be identified and discussed. Additionally, examples will be used to illustrate the satisfactory and unsatisfactory condition of the various components associated with the washer. Egg processing facilities shall be thoroughly cleaned at the end of each operating day. The term reasonably clean is applied during the egg processing shift to indicate that equipment and processing areas are maintained with minimum egg meat accumulation. More explanation of these terms is presented in the introduction module. Beginning January 2020, all portions of the washer which come in contact with the wash water are considered critical and must be thoroughly cleaned each day during sanitation procedures. Any such portion of the washer found to be unsatisfactorily clean will delay the start of the processing line until sufficiently corrected. The washer generally begins as the eggs cross the accumulator transfer plate onto the spools and ends as the eggs exit the washer enclosure. Because of recirculating water throughout the washer unit, only outer surfaces of the washer enclosure, auxiliary components, and legs are non-critical. More information on accumulator sanitation and expectations is available in the accumulator training module. Before a thorough assessment of the washer can be conducted, turn off the washer completely, empty the water from the washer reservoir, open all the doors and hoods, remove all screens and filters, open the heat exchangers, and make sure there are no eggs in the washer. Panels should never be placed directly on the processing room floor. A non-porous barrier should be in place. A cart or table is also appropriate. wooden pallets and cardboard are not appropriate since they are porous and can absorb moisture and microorganisms. Clean doors and equipment parts should always be placed on a clean surface. Facility personnel may follow behind the inspector to close equipment and replace doors and panels after an area has been deemed satisfactorily clean. Requirements for alternative or reduced frequency washer and heat exchanger inspection programs are detailed in AMS policy. Facilities interested in these programs should contact their local AMS supervisor to discuss details. Some processing lines may be equipped with a pre-wetting bar. Nozzles are mounted over the line to mist water on the shell surface before entering the washer. In such systems, the nozzles are considered critical because the water dispensed through the nozzle is applied to the egg surface. The mounting bar and brackets for pre-wetting nozzles are non-critical. Processing lines may also be equipped with a pre-washer. This self-contained portion of the processing line is a unit placed before the washer containing spray nozzles to pre-wet the eggs without brushes. Outer surfaces of the pre-wash enclosure, auxiliary components, and legs are non-critical. All other portions and components are critical since the recirculated wetting solution comes in contact with all eggs entering the processing line. Spools should only have limited surface abrasions since these can be growth reservoirs for microorganisms. All surfaces of spools in the washer are considered critical. AMS pre-operational sanitation inspections will assess for residual chemical, wash water buildup, and organic matter from the eggs. Depending on the processing line design, a single or dual washer system may be present. All washers have the following critical components which must be accessible for daily pre-operational sanitation inspection: interior of lid or cover, spools, water lines and manifolds, nozzles, nozzle mounts, brushes, brush mounts, interior framing and structure, screen filters, inline filters, recirculating tank. Externally mounted shell filters or drum separators may be present. This component of the washer is also critical since water recirculates from the shell filter back into the wash water. Some washers include a sanitizing rinse as eggs exit the washer cabinet. In such cases, the nozzles will be critical and assessed with the washer. More information on the inspection of sanitizer application nozzles will be included in the Sanitation Systems module. Multiple components within washing systems use nozzles to dispense water and chemicals onto egg surfaces. This would include pre-wetting, pre-washing, washing, and sanitizing. The nozzles are critical for all of these. On the left, we see nozzles that are satisfactorily clean and critical. On the right, we see that the nozzles have buildup of material that could be transferred to the eggs during the spraying application. This would be an unsatisfactory finding in a critical area and must be corrected before processing begins. Curtains or shields may be present at the entrance and exit of washing systems to prevent overspray. Curtains and shields are often made of metal or polymer materials which should be sanitarily designed to facilitate cleaning. The portion of the curtain or shield facing the interior of the washer would be critical, whereas exterior-facing portions would be non-critical. The outward-facing portion of the metal shield seen here appears to be cleaned and is satisfactory in a non-critical area. Notice how the USDA grader in this shot is inspecting the inward-facing critical portion of the curtain for compliance as well. This is a polymer curtain at the entrance of a pre-washing system. The exterior-facing, non-critical portion appears satisfactory. The inward-facing, critical portion should be assessed as well. On the exterior, non-critical part of this shield, we see there is a film of material that is beginning to flake off. This would be an unsatisfactory finding in a non-critical area. In systems which have curtains separating the sanitizing step from the washing compartment, buildup from the sanitizing chemicals on the curtains would be an unsatisfactory critical finding. This curtain would need to be cleaned before processing. Spools or spindles that pass through the washer are critical on all surfaces. Here we see satisfactorily cleaned spools. Small amounts of discoloration are not cause for unsatisfactory findings. While small amounts of discoloration may not be cause for unsatisfactory findings, large amounts of buildup, egg stone, and other organic material that provide probable areas for microbial growth would be unsatisfactory. In this picture, we see a copious amount of buildup on the yellow portion of the spools. This would be an unsatisfactory critical finding. Spools should not be allowed to reach this level of buildup. However, if this condition is encountered, facilities should work with USDA on a timeline for correction. Residual egg meat, as seen in this picture, would also be cause for an unsatisfactory finding on a critical surface. This must be corrected before processing begins. Cracks, abrasions, and divots in spools can create niches for microbial growth and make cleaning spools more difficult. Facilities should consider replacing spools with excessive wear and damage. However, for USDA AMS assessments, spools are satisfactory as long as they are free from visible buildup of organic material. These spools would be considered unsatisfactory in a critical area due to visible debris. The areas of debris would need to be cleaned to achieve a satisfactory finding. The spools seen here appear to be free of any visible buildup of egg meat or organic matter and would be considered satisfactory. The assessment of the washer will also include the brushes used to clean the eggs. As we look closer at these brushes, we see they are clean of any egg meat or organic material. This would be a satisfactory finding on the critical brushes. Brushes with residual egg meat and debris would be unsatisfactory. Washer assessments will also include the piping, framing, and structural components within the washing system. These are all critical components. The washer, seen in this shot, appears to have satisfactorily clean piping and framing components. Soap scum and other residual buildup on the piping and framework is not acceptable. The washers we see in these photos would be unsatisfactory, and the residue would need to be removed before processing begins. Inline water filters should be fully removed each day for assessment and placed on a solid, impervious surface, never on the processing area floor. Filters should be free from debris. This is a satisfactorily clean inline filter which is free from debris. This, however, shows debris remaining in the filter, which would be an unsatisfactory critical finding. Debris is often caught at the end of inline filters, necessitating the full removal of the filter for assessment. Tray-type filters also remove large particles before the wash tank. Residual debris, such as this, would be an unsatisfactory critical finding. Newer washing units may also contain a drum filter that removes additional particles before recirculating through the washer system. This is a satisfactorily clean drum filter that is free from large debris. This is a drum filter with debris remaining. This would be an unsatisfactory critical finding. The inline water filter will often be near the heat exchanger, which should also be assessed. Washer systems use various types of heating elements for heating water. Heat exchanger systems use hot water from a boiler system to transfer heat and are housed external of the washers instead of in the recirculating tank. To assess an inline heat exchanger, the end caps must be open. A facility employee should make the heat exchanger available for inspection. Proper assessment includes shining a flashlight in one end while looking in the other end for residual buildup. The heat exchangers shown here are satisfactory. Alternately, wash systems may have heating coils in the washer tanks. Heating coils are metal tubes within the recirculating tank through which hot water from the boiler system is pumped in order to transfer heat directly to the wash water in the tank. This shows satisfactory conditions of the heat exchanging coils. While general discoloration would not be cause for unsatisfactory findings on the coils, large amounts of buildup and residual debris would be cause for unsatisfactory findings. These are unsatisfactory critical conditions. Recirculating washer tanks are yet another critical area in the washing system. Debris from production will build up in these tanks and must be cleaned out daily. This is a well-cleaned tank that has had all material removed. This is a satisfactory finding. Here we see a tank containing residual organic matter. This is an unsatisfactory critical finding. Material must be cleaned before processing begins. Non-critical areas of the washer would include the exterior surfaces of the unit and additional features such as feet, pipes and tubes, framework, exterior panels, pumps, and motors. The non-critical components of the washer seen here appear to be satisfactory. This washer has green supply hoses mounted above the washer. Closer inspection of these hoses shows a buildup of grime which is unsatisfactory condition in a non-critical area. When assessing washer sanitation, it is important to remember all internal components of the washer are critical due to wash water contact and must be cleaned prior to startup. Only exterior components of the washer are non-critical. This module has presented a general overview of sanitation assessment of the washer. Each facility has a unique design. Remember, non-critical conditions are sanitation deficiencies that are not likely to materially affect product quality, but when allowed to continue or combine with other non-critical conditions may result in diminished product quality.